He served as a public official for many years, very well spoken, and so on and so forth. But I have a question that I need to ask the council, Mr. Gilmore, because I'm not quite sure I understand why it is exactly that we are here this evening. And the reason I say that is because although we are voting for an administrator this evening, we have a Jackson Code of which was done by the attorney's office, Mr. Gilmore's office, and is the code in which we follow here in Jackson Township. And it says the business administrator shall either have a bachelor's degree in public administration, economics, finance, accounting, or a similar field from a recognized or accredited college or university. That's it. It does go on to say, and at least 5 years of increasingly responsible experience in an executive or administrative position related to the duties of the position. I'm not quite sure why we're here this evening, and again, Mr. Torres, please understand, I think you were a very nice gentleman. I think that you are very personable. This has nothing to do with an individual. It has to do with our Jackson Code, of which we are supposed to follow and have our guidelines by. And this code says that you must have a bachelor's degree in any one of those following things I said. Our applicant doesn't even have an associate's degree and has never served as an administrator in any town in the entire state. And yet we're getting ready to hire an administrator that does not have a bachelor's degree, as according to our code, and has never served as an administrator. And I just don't understand why we're here this evening for this.
Well, you're here because a meeting was called by the council president to consider the mayor's nomination of Mr. Torres as the administrator for Jackson Township. In regard to the issue you raised, if you want to raise Mr. Torres' background, I'm sure he would be happy to talk about it, and I'll be happy to talk about it too. A man of Hispanic descent who had 7 siblings, who attended Rutgers University, was seeking a degree in political science. Unfortunately, his father became ill. He had to leave college to help support his mother, his father, and his 7 siblings. From that, he went on to become a member of the governing body in Paterson, the city of Paterson, on council, and then became elected mayor of the city, serving 2 terms, a total of 8 years. The man has certifications, and I'll gladly read them to the record. If you want to go through this, I'll be happy to do it.
I just want my one question here,
And I'll be happy to answer that too.
that's the one I'm really interested in. I mean, because I can tell you that I've read all the credentials, and he's obviously done a lot as a mayor. And if there was a mayor's position open, I would nominate him. But we are not here for the mayor's position. We are here for a business administrator's position. And let me just finish, George, real quick. I have served on and off this council since 1996. I could write a resume that could match it. As a former mayor, and as a councilman, and as a committeeman. We oversee a lot of things. As a matter of fact, Mr. Bresci has served up on this council for many years prior to getting back on. I'm sure he could write a similar one, as so can many elected officials. It's very impressive for the public to see. And again, I commend the man. He's a very nice gentleman. My question here is, we're here to hire an administrator, the most powerful position that is not elected in the township of Jackson. And it requires, according to the code your office wrote, that we follow the guidelines too, that you must have a bachelor's degree. It doesn't say and or, it says you must have a bachelor's degree in one of the following. There is not a bachelor's degree here, and has never even been served as an administrator, not even in his own town of Paterson, which is why I don't understand.
Major point, let's go and talk now.
Number 1, being the mayor of Paterson, has full executive responsibilities.
Paterson has an administrator.
Let him speak.
Let me finish. If you know this individual, which I think from your short time in discussing with him, you found out what a genuine and hard-working, dedicated individual he is. This man essentially ran the city of Paterson. He took control of the departments. He held the tax rate stable. He reduced the budget. He increased the number of rateables in town, did a redevelopment area. He's a certified purchasing agent, not a qualified purchasing agent, but just a purchasing agent. As you noted, if you go through all the accomplishments this man has achieved, I think Jackson Township is lucky to have the opportunity to employ him as the administrator. There are obviously no political connections. Nobody can say that this is, the good old boys network. Mr. Torres, for those of you that don't know, is a lifelong Democrat. He's not a Republican. He's not undeclared. He has really done an excellent job, if you check with anybody in the city of Paterson, in turning that city around to the extent that it has so far. Has tremendous experience in a number of areas, including obtaining grants for the town. That'll be invaluable to Jackson Township. Now, one can try to raise issues with it, and I understand what the Township Code says. The appointment of Mr. Torres will be effective January 2nd. His qualifications, as far as I'm concerned, are beyond reproach. And the mayor has put forth his name, and obviously the council has the right to vote.
Mr. Gilmore, could this council, if it seeks to waive that education requirement?
I think you can waive it a number of ways. Number one, you can waive it either by just consenting to the mayor's appointment, or number two, between now and January 2nd, you can modify section 3-48 of the Township Code to allow for experience such as Mr. Torres to be substituted for the degree.
I'll be honest with you, Mr. Captain, I honestly want to say and work.
Well, that's why
I said and work.
Yeah, but that's why I read it and I read it again, so that I don't make that mistake.
Okay, that's fine. And I honestly thought it said and work. But if it would satisfy you and the rest of the council, we can just waive the education, by motion from council, we can waive the education requirement to, yes?
I believe you can, but I would also then suggest if you do that, you might as well introduce an ordinance at the next meeting, which you can have adopted in December, because you have 2 meetings in December, and it would be effective.
And or in there.
Correct.
So what we'll do in the future is that if there's anybody that's not qualified for a position, we'll just change the ordinance.
And the experience.
I think that, see, I take exception to that only because, and I don't need to be argumentative. Listen, you want to argue in the back room of whether you think Mr. Torres is qualified or not. I don't have a problem with that. But this man is more than qualified, and you all know I'm chairman of the Republican Party of Ocean County. I'm here arguing in favor of a lifelong Democrat for one reason and one reason only, and I think he'll do one heck of a job, I use a different word, but for a public forum, for this town. And you can check with Republicans, you can check with Democrats. He is a well-respected individual that deserves the support of the appointment the mayor's put forth.
And also, Michael, you don't waive willy-nilly. It's where the rest of the experience mandates that this person is well-credentialed. 8 years, a $200 million budget, 1,700 employees. He is not just qualified, he is overqualified to be business administrator for Jackson Township. I think it's an outstanding choice. If anybody deserves to have the education requirement waived, his experience demands it.
Okay, so I understand. If the rules don't work, we just change them.
If that's the
This is
case,
what- and again, George, you don't have to attack me. I read this. I told you, this man is highly qualified to be the mayor of a town. I'm incredibly impressed by it.
Michael, I would never.
then why would you want us to go? Then why would you, if you see that he's incredible, he's an impressive individual, and he's a well-credentialed, why would you not come and say, you know what, guys, there's a problem with the code here, we don't want to violate the code, we may want to waive it. Why not work with us? Why not call the attorney prior to me if there's a problem with the code? Why not call the mayor prior to me, there's a problem, we need to address this?
Okay, well, wait a
Because I
minute.
am
Wait a
impressed.
minute. We're here on a special meeting because the mayor's office decided to tell us at the last minute who it's going to be. Don't ask me why I didn't call the mayor's office. When we just got this Saturday night, and the only time we could sit down with the gentleman was today between 3:30 and 7.
Okay, you had the resume since Saturday, you could have called the attorney.
And by the way, there was 3 months that went by that we had the ability to go ahead and interview.
But here's
3 months.
This is where we are now. And you know what? Thank God. Because this person is so credentialed, I'm very happy with the fact that he is the nominee. We hadn't taken 3 months to stop and go negotiate with other people. We may not have got Mr. Torres in that.
Am I correct here? The Township of Paterson has a business administrator. Am I correct? That's correct. The Township of Paterson has a business administrator because the mayor doesn't do the business administrator's job.
Okay.
You want to have Mr. Torres respond to that? Because
Yes,
I don't have to have
He
him respond to
did.
it.
He told me they have a business
No,
administrator.
he'll tell you what he did as mayor. You want to raise the issue of whether he acted in that capacity, has the experience, let the man speak.
George.
I'm actually, as
I would
council
never-
president, I'm going to let him speak. Mr. Torres, please come to the microphone.